Hey guys, Baron here again. Um, I've been looking forward to Wrath of the Lich King and had been looking into optimizing my 5-man dungeon group a little bit recently, and was kind of looking to see how I could min-max possibly having a Holy Paladin heal for my dungeon group. And I came upon a spec that I actually, not this exact spec, but I actually used to use this in Arena in 2v2 when I played back in original Wrath. And thought it could be quite nice because it brings a lot to the party. 3% damage, replenishment, 3% haste, and some other things. But anyways, like I said, just trying to min-max my group for 5-man dungeon leveling in Wrath, and dug into it a little deeper. And this, I really enjoy this spec. I think it's kind of a sleeper. I don't know how many people would be using something like this, but I figured I'd give you kind of a test drive and show you kind of what it can do offensively, but also what it will bring to the party, basically as the healer with this spec. So I'm going to kill some mobs here, and you guys can kind of see what kind of damage it's capable of putting out while maintaining 100% mana. And this isn't a direct demonstration of how it would play in a party, which is what I was mentioning. But you will have some idea of how this would go in a party. You're going to be judging constantly and just doing tons of damage while healing your party. So if you're just wanting to kick back and chill while healing, this maybe this doesn't work out for you. But if you're really wanting to push the pace and help your party push through the dungeon, this could be a good spec for you. Also, if you don't like having to sit down and drink, this is absolutely a good spec for you as well. But anyways, I'm gonna do a couple more pulls here. You can see that we constantly stay at full health and mana here. We pulled a little extra here, but that's okay. I'm mainly fishing for these crit procs right here that let me heal myself instantly with Flash a Lot. And these are all level 71 mobs. Well, I guess some are, they're 71 mobs. They don't yield XP, but they do have the same, like they have 10,000 health. They have normal mob health values. And I can pretty much pull and kill as many as I can handle as fast as I can get them. 0 downtime, full mana every single bit of the way. We have a 2-minute Avenging Wrath, which is nice. That can help put out some extra damage. I'll go over talents right after this. But as I was saying, right there's a 5600 Flash a Lot crit, instant cast. I just wanted to go over this and kind of show what this spec's capable of doing solo. I mean, you could just as easily level solo like this. I think your main challenge is going to be finding density. You need to find areas with dense amount of mobs, which I think is going to be kind of challenging on launch. But there's plenty of density in dungeons, and so that's why I'm interested in doing it there. Anyways, I think that should give you a pretty good idea of how it operates. Your main damage dealer here is just Consecrate. You are getting some damage from Judge, but we're mainly just judging to keep up Vengeance, get our instant cast heal procs, and obviously, like I said, return our mana. But yeah, Consecrate is mainly what's mowing everything down. So yeah, let's go. Since I finished this off, I'll switch over and we can check out some talents, and I'll explain some things with this spec. Well, first we'll check out gear. Okay, this is Sunwell, some Sunwell pieces, but like BT, BiS, Sunwell stuff. Memento. You could go with anything here in the trinket slots. You could even go with like a crit trinket if you want. A reminder that in Wrath of the Lich King, crit, haste, and hit all get combined to be the same thing. So physical crit is the same as spell crit. They're the same thing now. So some items that previously weren't useful might now be useful to you. But the main thing, the theme for this spec that we're running here is we want crit. We want to crit with our auto attacks. As you can see, even though I'm in full healing gear here with just self buffed, I have almost 34% physical crit with my auto attacks, and that's because, like I said, the crit rating gets combined to be both spell and physical. But trinkets, just anything with high spell power use. I think Hex Stricken Head's probably BiS. You could go with anything, just a badge spell power trinket's fine. The rings, spell power, spell crit, and then the proc ring from Hygel. I think that's definitely a really good one here. Boots, these are obviously from Sunwell, from Fell Mist. Tier 6 legs, tier 6 belt. These are crafted gloves from Sunwell. I have a 15 hit enchant on them because like I said, I am doing quite a bit of meleeing. So I do want my melee hits land, my melee swings to land, and I want my judgments to land as well. And there's no longer any hit talents in the Paladin tree. Libram of Divine Judgment, as you can see, we're using Seal of Command, and this has around a 40% proc chance, I believe. So a talent that I'll show you in a second gives us a percentage of our attack power is spell power. So Blessing of Might, for example, you see I'm at 1432 spell power, 1317. So Blessing of Might is giving us like 115 spell power with this spec. So when you get that 200 attack power proc, you're getting like 60 spell power. Any kind of spell power, any kind of high armor, spell power shield, any kind of high spell power mace. This is the one off Kill Jaden. This is the shield off Archimond. Just the tier bracers from Caligos. Tier 6 chest. This is a cloak off Kill Jaden. I think you'd get roughly the same result as what you just saw here with lesser gear. As long as you have enough stamina to survive and you can get some crits with your auto attacks, you're going to be just fine. Let's see. Lightbringer Paladins with an 18 spell power 10 crit enchant. And then the Shattered Sun offensive neck, same thing. I'm fishing for that 120 spell power proc from this necklace. And then spell power hit enchant to head. And meta gem, there's a bunch of different things you could do with your meta gem. You could do the spell. You could do a crit damage meta gem, or you could do a straight spell power meta gem. You can kind of do whatever you like there. It's not going to make a big difference. You're not going to run out of mana, and like I said, Consecrate's going to do most of your damage. So, all right. So that's kind of what the gear should look like. Spell power, spell crit, and a little bit of hit on the enchants if you can fit some in. So for talents, this is going to be a Ret Holy spec. Let me just reset that. First tier, you're going to take Benediction to get some cheaper instant cast spells. Most of what we're casting is instant cast, Consecrate, Judgment, and I actually haven't tested if it counts Flash a lot, but when it's instant cast or not. But either way, like I said, with all the mana return and stuff we're getting, we're going to be all right. You want to take Improved Might, and you want to take Improved Judgment, of course, because we're judging on cooldown. You're going to put one filler point here in Crusader. Like I said, the purpose for this to begin with was for 5-man dungeon leveling. So if you don't have a prop paladin or a rep paladin in your 5-man group, then we'll come back to this, and I think you fill this out all the way. But for right now, just put 1 point in there. Conviction, like I said, spell crit and spell hit ratings get combined. At least for this talent, it does get combined as well. So this, you're getting spell crit and you're getting physical crit for this talent. So we want that, of course. We want Scylla Command. That's what we're going to be using. Scylla Command hits 3 targets on auto attack, or when you judge, it also hits 3 targets, which will help us stack Vengeance. We want our movement speed because that's kind of the whole idea behind this spec is we don't drink, we judge, and we heal, and we move. The other part of this spec is we want to fit in more damage. So we want this 3% damage talent. We want this 3% crit talent. And it also increases the damage we deal with Exorcism, which we will be using some. Sanctified Retribution, we want to provide that 3% damage to our party. And you'll be running Red Aura, and it'll get a 50% damage bump, which will help out a little bit. Obviously, take Vengeance. When you're judging on cooldown, and especially if it's hitting multiple targets, you're going to have Vengeance stacked constantly. This is one of those sleeper talents a little bit that people might look past, but this is actually really, really useful, especially for the first dungeon, Utgard Keep. There's a lot of mobs in there that concussion blow your tank, and taking this talent allows us to remove stuns from our tank. So as soon as he gets hit with a conch blow, we can remove the stun from our tank, and that could, that's just a huge help. Nobody likes getting stunned. Stuns are bad. This is the talent that the entire spec is kind of built upon, is Judgements of the Wise. And I'm sure Blizzard didn't probably intend for this spec to be played the way that we're playing it here, but it is what it is. Taking this talent gives us inspiration. It gives us replenishment to our party, and it also gives us 25% of our base mana back whenever we judge. If we flip back over, I think it will. Does it show here? Let's find it. Yes, right here. Let me upsize that a little bit here. Okay, so you can see here 236 mana from Glyph of Scylla Command. I'll talk about that in a minute. And 738 mana from Judgements of the Wise. This is at level 70. We're level 70 here. So, you're getting back, a little over 900 mana, close to 1,000 mana every time you judge, without, counting the cost of the judge, and also not counting the replenishment. But this is the primary talent that we're working around. Is every time that our judge is available, we want to judge. Repentance, you're going to take that because you want this talent down here, and it's not bad to have some crowd control. Repentance gets upgraded to where it's a 1-minute CC, and it affects more than just humanoids. It actually affects demons, dragonkin, giants, humanoids, and undead. This is another talent that we're working off of here, is when you get an auto attack crit, like an auto swing crit or a judgment crit. Either one. Your judgment crits or you auto attack swing and crit, you get Art of War proc, and that makes your next Flash of Light or your Exorcism instant cast. This is really good. Obviously, you're going to want some kind of a weak aura to show you when this proc is up, and you're just going to auto attack. You're just going to auto attack mobs next to the tank, and whenever it's time to heal him, you're just going to mouse over Flash of Light, heal him, and it's just, if you gem for crit and you have, some tier 6 level gear, it's just always going to be there. You just auto attack and you mouse over Flash of Light, heal your tank, and you're good to go. It's a super fun spec. Like I'm almost kind of wanting to play this to level up. To be honest with you, it's super fun. Um, we're going to take this, of course, because we want that extra 18% crit on our judge. So when we do judge, it's almost, it's very likely that we're going to get an instant cast flash a lot proc that goes along with it. Um, this talent, there's a couple of filler talents that I'll go over, but for now we're going to put 2 of 2. We'll come back to it. This reduces the increases the critical strike chance of Hammer Wrath by 50%, and Hammer Wrath is now instant cast as well. So like even if you're healing at range, you can throw some hammers, and do some decent damage. Like that's quite a bit of extra crit on it. And it takes 60 seconds off of Avenging Wrath cooldown, which I should also add now increases your healing and your damage by 20%. Making it a 2-minute cooldown is pretty convenient because it lines up with most trinkets that also happen to be 2 minutes. So, for example, we can always macro together Avenging Wrath and Hex Shrunken Head, which are both 2-minute cooldowns, and make things easy for us. So I really like this talent. I think it's worth taking. The other 2 things we're taking here is the 3% haste talent for the party, and then this is the other big one that we're taking is Sheath of Light. Increases your spell power by 30% of your attack power, and your critical healing spells heal the target for 60% of the amount healed over 12 seconds. Now, obviously we're on private right now, and I don't know how it'll work on Classic, but I assume it will be roughly the same. So we got a 9800 Holy Light crit there, and I have a 1500 heal over time on me that's going to tick 4 times. So, yeah. Crits are just amazing. If you get a Flash of Light crit, they're, even just a little 4000 Flash of Light crit, I'm still got a 600 hot on me. So, just a really amazing talent, and another reason it's the same thing. We just want crit everywhere. We want lots and lots of crit because our heals do 60% more, obviously, when they crit in the form of a hot, which is even better, and it gives us instant casts procs whenever we crit as well. So a really amazing talent, and also that's the reason, like I said, that I was running Blessing of Might. Is Blessing of Might or Battle Shout, whatever you got in your party, that's going to give you quite a bit of a spell power bump just from that buff. Okay, moving on. Over in the Holy Tree, now you could go either way here. It's been typical to take pushback resistance, but in Wrath, pushback for spells gets nerfed a little bit. I'm sure you've noticed in TBC sometimes where you're going to cast and you're just getting constant pushback, and it feels like it will never end. There is a limit to how far you can get pushed back in Wrath. I believe it's 1 second followed by a half second, and then basically there's a diminishing return on spell pushback. So I could see a case where one might want to go this way, and honestly that might end up being better because you're not going to be using Seal of Command probably against bosses. You're going to be helping stack Seal of Vengeance on bosses when you're not healing, and that's going to do a lot more single target damage. So could go either way, but the safe route is probably just to take Spiritual Focus, and then we're going to take our 12% more healing. This is really as far as remember we're speccing for level 70 here. We're not speccing for 80, so we're limited to how many talent points we got to get some of this other stuff. This talent is still maxes out at 10%, and Illumination gets hit with another nerf. Currently in TBC it's 60% whenever you get a crit, and now it gets nerfed down to 30%. So we want Illumination eventually, but I feel like basically there's 2 ways you could go here. You could continue in going this way. We have 4 points remaining. You could go 4 there and have 4 out of 5 Illumination at level 70, or you could grab Aura Mastery and go 3 out of 5. Or, in my opinion, what you probably want to do is just drop those 4 points into Divinity, okay? And that's 1% more healing that you do, and another 4% more healing that you do, and an additional 4% more healing that you do to yourself. So that's my pick. But if you want to grab some intellect and go elimination, you're welcome to do that. If your gear maybe isn't as good, maybe you need some extra mana from elimination. But yeah. All right. So we have 2 points remaining for level 70. As I mentioned, we were going to come back to this. If you don't have a ret or a prot in your group, I think you absolutely go ahead and max this out. And even if you do have a ret or a prot in your group, you might end up just wanting to max that out anyways, and you could judge like secondary targets and put up 3% crit on those. But if you wanted to, you could take those points out. You could even take a point out of that and put them over here if you wanted to. You get deeper into the holy tree. Do what you want to do. It's obviously, it's up to you. I don't think there's a lot to screw up here. One thing that I didn't mention, you don't want to take Crusader Strike because that's based off of weapon damage, and our weapon damage is actually really, really low. We're wearing all healer gear here, so our weapon damage isn't the greatest. And we're also going to be using a one hand and a shield because we want the spell power, and those are typically fast weapons. So Crusader Strike, no use for us. It also doesn't refresh judgments anymore. Judgments are just, you have to judge them to put them up. This talent is when we crit with judge, which we will be doing a lot, but it's a very small portion of our damage, and we'd rather have those points elsewhere, in my opinion. So I wouldn't bother with that. And then Divine Storm is the same story as Crusader Strike. You're using a one hand and a shield. This is going to do basically no damage whatsoever. I would just leave it alone. So the absolute maximum that I would put into Retribution, I think, is what we have here, 49, and then start trying to scoop up, some of these healing benefits over here. There's really not much beyond elimination here. Is improved blessing and wisdom. Well, obviously we're not having mana problems, so not a huge deal there. Blessed hands, not really a critical talent. Improved Conqueror, that's more of a PvP talent. Divine Favor is cool, but we're almost going to be 80 by the time we would be able to access that. So yeah, that's kind of why I feel like you go with Divinity and try to get whatever you can early on to really maximize what you're going to have at 70. But lastly, okay, let's not forget we got to go over Glyphs. Wowhead doesn't have a glyph section yet that I saw. There's things you could do here as well. The minor glyph, of course, you're going to take Glyph of Sense Undead for that 1% more damage against undead. But for the major glyphs, I mean, obviously, I'm looking at this as the perspective of a healer. So Glyph of Holy Light is hands down the best healing glyph there is for a paladin. So I think you go with that. And then Glyph of Seal of Command, since we're going to be using Seal of Command so often, this is going to give us an additional 8% mana back whenever we judge. So we're just getting even more mana back whenever we judge. Yeah, that's what I would recommend for glyphs. You could go Glyph of Flash a Lot. I could see that being a thing to get the extra 5% crit on your Flash a Lot. Or you could go, maybe you're doing some soloing and you're using this spec to solo and level your way through Wrath outdoors. You could drop Glyph of Judgment in there and just get 10% more damage on Judgments as well. I mean, there's several different things we could do there. But as you can see, there's no problem with this spec killing mobs. It's just an awesome spec. I really like it because there's just no downtime. Go, go, go. That's all you do is press W and judge targets and win. That's what I like about this spec. Obviously, you're missing out on some of this stuff over in Holy. We are getting 8% crit from these talents in ret, so it's not like we're straight up losing out on all these crit talents over here. But you're losing 6% there, and 5% there on crits. You're losing some haste. You're losing Holy Shock, Divine Illumination. You're using Beacon a lot. But when we're talking about healing a 5-man party, most of these instances you're just going to be healing the tank. Like that's who's going to be taking 90% of the damage. And you kind of have Glyph of Holy Light to help out with some of the splash healing. So anyways, I really hadn't seen anyone else talk about this spec a whole lot. I've really enjoyed messing around with it on PTR, and I think it's a sleeper. I think it's an outstanding spec. I think it's the best way to go about healing your 5-man, as long as you don't mind getting in there and mixing in some damage as well as the healer. That's really how I like to play. One last thing about Sheath of Light that I did not mention, I don't think, is it takes the heal. The Sheath of Light takes whatever crit was last. So it doesn't roll. I think it did at one point, but in this version it does not. So whatever the last critical heal was, that's how much it's going to heal for, the Sheath of Light. 60% of whatever the last crit heal was. Anyways, been a while since I made a video, and I had a lot of people in the guild that were interested in playing this spec, so I figured I would do a little bit of a deep dive and kind of explain how it's working, and show what kind of gear and stuff you should be looking for, and explain some of the talents. But I hope that's helpful. If some of y'all end up using it, I hope it works out for you, and I hope it's great. If I end up running with a Holy Paladin healer in my group, I'll be leveling as a prop Paladin, but I will definitely be requesting that they run this spec. I want my 3% damage to the party. I want my improved red aura, and I want my 3% haste to the party, and we want replenishment too. I mean, why not? So you're just bringing an enormous amount of utility to the group, and not only that, but you're going to be in the mix. You're going to be judging and dropping consecrates and actually helping out, helping clear the instance faster. So hope it was helpful. I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks. If you've got any questions, hit me in the comments, and I'm happy to explain. Take care, and I'll catch you next time.